In the last 15 years, there's been an absolute transformation in attitudes and behaviour towards food waste. Just since 2007, we've had a 21% reduction in household food waste and nearly as much reduction on the part of the industry. This shows that society is waking up to the scale of the problem, but more importantly, that the solutions to that problem are delicious, namely eating and enjoying food rather than chucking it away. At the same time, on the food waste management side, we've seen a boost in composting and anaerobic digestion and diversion from landfill, and a lot of hoo-ha has been made of that, and of course those are significant gains, but the really important thing is the food waste reduction. Through reduction we get resource efficiency, we get conservation of land and water, and all of those things that are actually the most important impacts that we humans have on nature. From my perspective, I started campaigning on food waste before food waste had been invented. And by that I mean that there were no government policies, there were no big supermarket policies, there was no public awareness about the scale of this problem, namely that a third of the world's food was being wasted. It became a massive noise here in Britain. We started getting government policy, government budgets towards food waste reduction awareness. We've now got all of the supermarkets in this country and a good many of the manufacturers signed up to voluntary agreements. It started here in Britain. What we've done through Feedback's work is globalise this movement, galvanising and amplifying public outcry on the issue of food waste through public-facing, energising, inspiring and very challenging campaigns. We've seen this spread across Europe. I've just come back from the USA. I have never seen a country move as quickly on the issue of food waste. We have a bi-departmental commitment to halve food waste by 2030. We've got companies racing to be the least wasteful. We've got all of the big environmental NGOs moving into the issue of food waste. This is a society that is ready for change, and we've seen that time and time again. It is a global movement and it's having global impact. I started campaigning on food waste when I was a teenager and I was collecting food waste from my pigs. I quickly realised that most of the food I was feeding them was actually perfectly good for human consumption, so I started to eat it as a way of demonstrating the injustice of the food waste scandal, and really just saying, look, if someone like me can eat food rather than have to buy it, there was something clearly wrong with the system that was throwing away food on that scale, and that became a public-facing campaign for me. It was a great way of getting media interested. Posh guy eats food waste, look at the problem. And that is what really kicked off the debate here in the United Kingdom. If you look for headlines on food waste, it was just a very vivid way of telling a story. Now, several years on, I don't like to count how many, we've somewhat scaled up that solution. Instead of just feeding myself, we go around the world doing feasts for 5,000 people at a time. Last month in New York City, we fed 10,000 people for one lunchtime on food that would have been wasted. We have a gleaning network that harvests more than 2 million portions of fruit and vegetables, and it's all the same story, which is there's this perfectly good food being wasted, and a way of demonstrating that this is a problem with multiple solutions that we must engage in is what I'm really about, and Feedback has, I guess, scaled up that basic principle. We waste at every link in the supply chain, and it's very difficult to identify a single thing that we need to do. But if you looked for one single thing that would have the biggest impact, there is one policy at a European level that we do have the power to change. We must and will, I believe, change. And that is the ban on feeding food waste to pigs and chickens, which has been in place since 2001. This is a historical and geographical anomaly. Pigs and chickens were domesticated by humans to turn our waste back into food. Banning feeding food waste to them means that they no longer make any sense. Instead, what we are doing is chopping down the Amazon rainforest to grow soy, to ship it across the Atlantic, to feed to our livestock here in Europe. We're destroying the environment thereby, And at the same time, 100 million tons of food waste is an economic and environmental liability on the hands of all the waste producers. We can save money for pig farmers, massively save on impact of the environment by removing what is a totally unnecessary, scientifically unjustified, and environmentally disastrous piece of legislation, and putting in place a proper, robust system to ensure that food waste is properly sterilised before doing its natural thing, which is feeding pigs and chickens. Cheers to that. And the other thing we can do is drink loads of toast ale, because it's made out of bread waste, and the proceeds go to our charity. Boom!